Thanks for tuning into this video. This is Matt and
Mike, also known as Bishop of the Grove.
He's here in person with me. So, what this video is, this is going to be a top 5 list. So, please subscribe to the channel, like, comment away, tell us what your top 5 that are on this topic. And the topic is the top 5 games you would not say no to, or the top 5 games you always say yes to. So, Mike, why don't you tell us how you came up with your list?
So for me, it's a top 5, but I don't really put any of these games into a top 5 of my own. I would say yes to just about every single one of these. Each game is a little bit different, and it has a little bit something else to bring to the board, whether it's artwork, whether it's play style, whether it's availability in time frame. So there's just a little bit of something for everybody in each of these games that I've decided to choose. So
I was a little bit more on the selfish side. I went with top 5 games that I really want to play that I can't get played normally within this house. Because even though I do got a family and wife and they play games, there's certain games they will not play. So if I ever came across someone or someone offered to play something, these are the ones that I would not be saying no to. Number 5.
So I would say number 5 goes to Ticket to Ride. This is actually the very first game me and my wife ever got into past what I used to consider the Milton Bradley games. This is one of those games where it takes about, let's see, the box says it takes, I want to say it takes maybe 45 minutes, maybe an hour. Let's see, right there we go, 30 to 60 minutes. This is for anywhere between 2 to 5 players. It says it has an 8 or up age range. However, I've played with my nephews at the time, and one of them's only 6. He felt that he could follow right in along. It's not completely difficult to play. There's only a limited amount of actions that you have to do in a turn. And the whole time that we were playing this game, I felt like, yeah, there was a little bit of competitiveness, like, okay, I want to be the one that builds the best track. But at no point did that overtake how much fun we were having. It's very, very simple. You know, each person is control of their own set of trains. Each one is color-coded. That's why they specifically have it on the box. All these are the different colors. So yeah, it was one of those games where everybody can play and kind of go their own path to get to their destinations that they need to go to, but you would also have intersections where more than one person would be in there where, okay, I need to get there before this person so I can finish my track. But on the flip side of that, locations in this game have multiple ways to get in and out, so it wasn't that much of a clinch that you had to get there first. It was just, where does everybody want to travel to in the country at what different times? So I felt like this is a really good one. Anytime that me and my wife do a game night and we have a bunch of people that aren't really game players, this is one of the ones that we will always go to because it's fairly simple. It runs in maybe the max of an hour, and everybody, anytime we've ever played this, is very interested in bringing it back the next time they come around or doing something just like this. This is my number top 5.
So I would say the youngest I've done is 5, and that was with my kids. My son played it when he was 5. We kind of made it simplified a little bit in aspects, but we really didn't take anything out, but helped them. But so 5-year-old playing a couple times. If we ever do a top 5 memory stories, this would be in my top 5. I've been in a room with people that think that's competitive.
Yeah, not particularly, but
I have.
Oh, wow.
Tournament level competitive.
Oh, no.
So yes. But again, if you like competitive and tournament level, you can do that with Ticket to Ride.
It's possible. I've just never experienced it.
And a couple years ago, you can go look this up. There was a national championship. Did you hear about that?
There's a national championship for Ticket to Ride? No, I haven't.
And it was like a trip to somewhere overseas for like it was like a 5 or 7 day all trip inclusive. As Days of Wonder runs the tournament level for this.
Okay.
About a couple years ago, a guy was caught cheating. They live streamed it, caught him cheating a couple days later because he brought extra cards.
See, I can't stand that. No matter what game I'm playing,
you can take this all the way.
I've always felt like, no matter where we're going, no matter what game we're playing, what's cheating do for anybody except for when somebody catches you, you become the idiot of the group, and I don't know. I just
7 days all-inclusive travel and vacation
yeah.
was on the line.
Well, right.
Now, I'm a person, when we play this, we count the points as we play. How do you do it?
So we do a little bit of both. As we're laying tracks to get to the different destinations, when you lay track, we do keep track of, okay, this is a 3-section piece, that's worth 4 points. If this is a 6-section piece, that's worth 15 points. We keep track of those, but for completed tickets on the game, which is majority of where you're going to get the points for the game to win, we'll just pile them all up. Each person keeps their own stack, and then at the end of the game, we divvy those up.
Same here. We don't count those until they're done.
Yeah.
But okay. So my number 5, BattleTech. Everyone talks about gateway games for miniatures, or even in this hobby. This is miniatures on boards, hexes. So it's probably more of a miniatures game, but there is a simplified version, so it can technically be a board game too. This is my gateway. This is the game that got me into the hobby. Okay. This will always have a special place in me. The universe, I love the universe. Some people talk about 40K. I love the 40K universe. I'm not totally on all the rules on 40K.
But the lore is there.
The lore is, yeah. My wife never really got into this, but she read some of the books. She can remember the lore.
Okay.
So we can just have lore discussions about this. Anyone who's played the original version, it is almost identical to what it was about 30 years ago. I literally said, are these rules in it? When the newest from Catalyst, and the rules are the same. But finding someone who wants to play the old paper version, where you literally have a sheet of paper per unit, and you have to check in circle bubbles, that's not necessarily probably high on our gaming market nowadays.
Yeah.
But
everybody wants something that they can hold in their hand, whether it's a miniature, whether it's a cardboard piece that tells you your stats. It seems like there's a very particular set of type of gamer that is fine with just nothing but paper and pen, which I like a little bit of that myself, but it's just not for everybody.
This is yeah. But this is very meaty. There's a lot to this. A game probably, if you're just playing a couple mechs against each other, might be an hour. A full, real good engagement is probably going to be 2 hours, which is about standard for a normal a regular game of
miniatures game. Yeah.
Bold action is about 2 hours. 40K can push up to 4 hours. So I mean, it's in there.
But have you seen the size of some of the 40K armies? Insane.
Yeah, that's a different story.
Yeah.
So BattleTech is my number 5. Someone wants to play the version, I'm down for it anytime. Especially with the new maps, they're not because this is a little bit thicker on. No, you know what? It's got the old paper maps still. They're still just paper. So anyway, my number 5, BattleTech.
Number 4.
I would have to say, even though, like I said before, it's not really any particular order, number 4 would have to go with Takenoko. This is another game that plays 2 to 4 players, about 45 minutes a game. Same thing, it's really good for children. I would say 8 and up. Actually, that's what it says on the board, on the box. 8 and up. It's another game where there's a little bit of storytelling there as far as why you're worried about this garden and a hungry panda. And you have the hungry panda here, which he's all about eating bamboo. You have the gardener, which is trying to grow the bamboo. So there's a little bit of cat and mouse in the game of that. He's trying to make the garden that you produce in the game really beautiful, very vibrant, big plants, whereas the hungry panda goes around and he's just a panda looking for food. I really liked the backstory of this, where if I'm not mistaken, the backstory in this is there's a time where there's a war between Japan and China. The 2 emperors of Japan and China get together, they commune, they discuss peace, and a gift that the Japan emperor gives to the China emperor is the panda as a sign of peace. And essentially throughout the entire game, you're running around the board, trying to grow the garden around the Emperor's castle, and it's all in good fun. There's 3 different ways that you can win the game. I mean, the main way to win the game is to gain points by completing mission cards, which it's either feed the panda a lot, give him exactly what he wants to eat, grow the most vibrant plants, make it really high stalks of bamboo, or just make the entire garden itself layout very vibrant and colorful and beautiful. And this is another game, just like all the games on my list. It's very, very fun. There's a little bit of a competitiveness to it, but this is another one of those games. If it's not Ticket to Ride, usually if we have 2 to 4 players and they want something that's kind of lighthearted, a little bit of competitiveness, this is one way to go to, because there's like Ticket to Ride, there's a lot of different ways you can get to your end goal. And overall, just the fact that you get to, my wife and my nephews and some other people that have come over to game with us, just the simple fact that you have the hungry panda going around and eating the bamboo, and then you have the gardener that gets really angry, kind of like the cartoon where there's smoke coming out of his ears because he's so angry, and he chases down the panda and everything. It's just, I'd have to say that it's all in good fun. Have you ever played this?
No, actually.
You haven't had to play it, so we'd have to get together. We'd have to get together and play it one day, because this is just another lighthearted, good game that can run maybe 45 minutes, and it's pretty good. So that's pretty much it.
And it's been certified with the Golden Geek.
It has been certified with Golden Geek right there.
So far we've had some pretty well-produced games. You're talking about Take the Ride, Molded Trains.
Oh yeah, definitely.
You got Bamboo. You got Rocky Mechs. My fourth one, sorry, is not here. I don't have it. It would be a Grail game per se for me, because it would be Star Wars Queen's Gambit. Definitely probably was produced when I was not in the gaming aspect, but Star Wars Queen Gambit, it's the movie. And if there's going to be a picture right about now. Okay, so there's the picture. So Queen's Gambit. So you got battle droids. So you're fighting with the Gungans. You're fighting the space battle. You're fighting the Queen's Palace. You got multiple objectives. It's fully 3D dimensional. And yeah, I just love Star Wars, and I love the aspect of this awesome big game in a box that was mass produced for a little bit.
Now, is that miniatures, or is it?
It's a board game with lots of miniatures.
Okay.
So yeah, but it's 3 different. There's 3. Oh, and there's also the 4th battle. So there's 4 battles going on. You're fighting with the Gungans and the battle droids.
Okay.
You're trying to infiltrate the Queen's Palace. You're trying to shut down the battle droids by the starfighters attacking, and you have the Darth Maul duel.
You have me at the Darth Maul duel.
So you
I gotta tell you,
all 4 things going, dice, cards. You're trying to, it's like a tug-of-war battle of control in each zone.
Okay.
But you can, the starfighters can help the Gungans because they can take out the droid control ship.
Yeah.
So then you're like, oh, we don't have to worry about these 2 now because they're now resolved. So, as the game goes on, you're lowering, just like in the movie, you're going from jumping here, jumping here, jumping here, jumping here, to we're jumping here, jumping to the palace, back to Darth Maul, back to the palace, because it's getting down.
Yeah.
So, but it's got multiple floors for the palace. You got shields that the battle droids are trying to get through on the Gungans, so it's all of it. So that is on my list. If someone ever said, I have Queen's Gambit, let's play it one afternoon. Okay, done. Where, when, how, why?
Pretty cool. I'm going to have to check that one out.
Yeah.
It sounds really good.
Yes.
I'm super excited just about the Darth Maul duel.
Yes.
I gotta say.
I mean, they tried to, a couple years ago, there was Star Wars Risk that came out. That was the big one.
I do remember
and
that one,
was trying to catch the vibe of that.
Okay.
Because you had 3 battles going on. You had the Throne Room, Endor, and the space battle for the Death Star.
Yeah.
So that only had 3, not the 4. So they try to recapture that feeling, but Queen's Gambit, it's just massive. I just have not been, I think the last time I checked, it's $350, $400 on eBay for a copy. Not pulling the trigger on that. I could think of some other things I want to spend that money on.
Eventually.
I got 3 kids, so.
Eventually you'll get it, though.
So anyway.
Number 3.
3 for me would have to be Splendor. I would say that this is yet again another completely different type of play style. First you had, trains, then you had Gardner and a panda. I would say with this is all about the players of the game being jewel. What would you say? Jewel.
You're getting jewels.
You're gaining
rubies,
jewels,
emeralds, sapphires, diamonds.
Essentially, the entire game, as you can see on here, you're sitting there. The entire game is about gaining jewels from the jewel mines and impressing the higher end residents of the city that you're in. It's strictly about gaining the jewels. The more jewels you have, the more victory points you gain. You get enough victory points, you win the game. I think the victory point total goes up to 15. It's a very quick game. It runs in 30 minutes. 2 to 4 players is good. I like the fact that they kept it strictly to 2 to 4 because I feel like specifically with games like this, any more than 4 players or any more than 4 players on a lot of games kind of drags it along. 2 to 4 players in this, and I've played with 2, 3, and 4 players. It never felt like one version was a whole lot better. I feel like 4 with this is a very good rounded number. And with it being 2 to 4 players, I didn't really feel like it extended the playtime too much more. The box says that it's good for 10 and up. I would say everybody that I've played this with is a little bit older just because I haven't had occasion to play with a younger crowd. But I feel like this is another game where you only have a certain amount of stuff that you need to do on your turn. You have 3 different actions. You can either gain jewels. You can either take jewels from the caves. You can buy other jewels by turning in currency in the market, or you can buy stock into jewels, which will help you later on in the game for more expensive cards. So yeah, it's those 3 simple actions. It plays in 30 minutes. I really like the fact that there's not a whole lot to the board. The board isn't even a board. The board is any kind of open play table with lines of cards in the market. And one of the things that I really do love about this game is the game components. In a lot of games, you have just simple cardboard or little bits of paper for the pieces. These pieces here, all these jewels have very good coloring, very thick. It's like a hard plastic. I want to say it's almost
Poker chip.
like a poker chip quality, and all of the artwork on the cards, not only the cards, but also the jewels themselves are very vibrant, very colorful. And it's an overall good game that can be ran in 30 minutes. And there's, like I said, there's a little bit of competitiveness into this, but it's an overall good game. And it's another game that has been given the Golden Geek Award. So this is another one of those games where anytime somebody is interested in playing it, I'll whip it out real quick and then we'll throw it down with it. So that was pretty much it.
I have not played. I played it on the app version.
Okay.
I was looking up because I heard that they actually had organized play kits for that, and it came in a, upgrade, and you could win to upgrade the poker chips even more.
Oh,
or something like that.
Okay.
Now it's been years since the kits are out there, so it might be really hard.
Now
to
they do have an expansion that me and my wife recently purchased. We haven't had a chance to open it up yet, but it even increased more that you can do. I want to say it increases the different types of gems too. I think it might add 1 or 2 more. But overall, it's just a really good rounded game that can be played within 30 minutes. And it's not too completely deep that I don't want to say any games are stupid because they're not. Just when stuff has more depth and meat to it, sometimes it kind of gets lost into, okay, well, I just want to do something a little bit more lighthearted. So I feel like that's good in any situation.
So I would agree with not going probably below 10 though, because it does have minor nuances in what you take, when you take it, and how you take it.
Yeah. So, yeah, a little bit more strategy there. So yeah, I feel like maybe 10 years old is a good rounded number for that.
So yeah, because I'm thinking about my 4th graders. That would be about 4th.
Yeah.
4th grade could probably start. 5th grade definitely. So my number 3 has no box. It is just a book.
Oh yeah.
Zona Alpha. This is probably, if I did this top 5 again in a year or 2, this will probably be not on the list. But it is 2020. COVID did happen, and I got to play this a little bit with some people. This is one of Osprey's blue books, so that means Osprey just produces a miniature game that someone wrote. This one's written by Patrick Todorov. It has a really good, vibrant Facebook group, but there's no miniatures with the game. You build the miniatures from whatever you want. This was really awesome to play. If I got thoughts on it, you can watch that video separately. But in the end, why is this on this list? Because I had so much fun playing this with other people. Solo, not my cup of tea.
Okay.
And there are solo rules for it. There's nothing wrong with them. They're great. It's just me. I'm not quite a solo person. But playing with other people, playing against other mindsets and their methods and how they built their list completely makes this game awesome. It's like a near future, but it could even be modern, because basically the background is aliens have visited the Earth. There has been some disasters, so zones have been contaminated.
Okay.
And then what you do is you take a squad, because they hire mercenaries, to go explore these zones and bring back goodies and artifacts that the aliens might have left behind, or something that's been corrupted. Maybe you'll find an artifact that turns your skin into metal. Colossus. And so you have extra protection until you leave.
Okay.
But then you're trying to build your little group up over time by buying new stuff, buying equipment, reloading stuff. And you're trying to do a selling market between games, because if you find stuff, you can sell the stuff to then make stuff. So if you find an artifact, you never keep it. You always are selling it.
Okay.
But there's always exchange rates. So some of the bookkeeping between games can be a little bit heavier. But overall, it's fun. It's relatively fast. It's a small skirmish scale game. And I think the interactions between people are awesome. I would say this would have one of my favorite memories, too, if I did a top 5. Like, off the top of my head, what's the most memorable? This has one. And that was really cool, where 3 of us were trying to take out one figure for the artifact they picked up. And if we do that top 5 list, I will explain that later. By the way, it's number 3, Zona Alpha, and probably a year or two, it'll probably be off the list when I get some more games of it played, but for now, it's on the list.
Nice.
Number 2.
So number 2 is, I would have to say number 2 would have to go into any of the games from the Unlock series. If you're like me and my wife and like, would you say this is deduction?
Escape room. It's a
game. The easiest way to explain it is it's an escape room put down into a card game. It runs 60 minutes just like regular escape room. But one of the things that I really like about this is the sheer variety of themes for these games. Just like any escape room you go to out in public, they can be anywhere from you're escaped and you're locked into a prison. We played one where I was a secret agent. It's one of those games where if anybody could have put down an escape room into a board game, they do a really good job of it, because it's good for I would have to say it's good for everybody. It plays anywhere between 1 to 6 people. I would have to say that 6 people might be a little too much, considering the fact that everybody would have to pile around the table. This is another game that I would say is a really good 4-player game, giving everybody a chance to figure out clues, look at cards, find out the codes for doors to unlock them, figure out how different machineries work. One of the really good things that I like about this game is the fact that it comes with an unlocked app, which not only helps you play through the game, just like in any escape room, there will be times where you'll get stuck. You're not just stuck with a deck of cards that I don't know where we're going to. There are hints in the app that you can elect to choose that help you along in the game. The other good thing is the fact that it says 60 minutes, just like an escape room. You're not going to get caught off right at the 60 seconds. While you're running the app, you'll be able to go past that 60 seconds or that 60 minutes and continue to play the game. But the fact that they give you so much to help you get through when you get stuck is very awesome. And one of the selling points of how I show a new person, okay, how do you put an escape room into a deck of cards. Each game comes with a 10-minute tutorial escape room. Essentially, it holds your hand through that entire escape room if you need to, with extra fluff and stuff on the cards to kind of tell you, okay, there's a desk on this card. Maybe look closer at this card. Is there a number somewhere hidden in the corner? It gives you an idea of the other puzzles you're going to come into face with on the rest of the games, no matter which expansion you use. But it kind of keeps it basic to where, okay, this is just how this works. This is how that works. You found this clue here. How can that help you over here? And overall, anytime we get a chance to play one of these games, I'm all for it. A good thing is, like I said, however many different variations they have everything from adventures. This one is Wizard of Oz themed. This one is a haunted house where there are references to society's big bads in horror movies. One thing in particular, you come across this Book of the Dead. Where's Book of the Dead from? Evil Dead and stuff like that. And it's like, and this one right here, actually we played this last night. This one here is an evil mad scientist that locks you in his laboratory. You got to figure out how to get within the 60 minutes. I would say, though, a lot of people and the people that came out with these games, these are called one-hit games or one-shot games. One-shot games. Once you play through it, you're obviously going to know what the clues are. You're going to know what all the riddles are and everything. And that is true to a degree. However, I've done these games, I've hosted these games for other people to where I'm kind of like the game master. I've completely had a blast just doing that with a new group of people where, okay, I know what you got to do, and not telling them what to do, but kind of being a person version of the hint cards, the facilitator, and I've had just about as much fun doing that as running a brand new game. So the variety is there. It is a one-shot game if you're not into running games for other people, but this is another one of those games where if we go to a game night and somebody wants to play it, I will. It's 1 to 6, meaning you can even run through this by yourself if you want to. I haven't yet, but I kind of feel like I want to. So overall,
what would your wife say if you played one without her?
I don't know. You always got to make the wife happy.
Yeah, exactly. So, haha.
Yeah.
Unless there's one that she doesn't want to play that.
So she doesn't care for scary games. Okay. And she was kind of iffy about this one because, don't get me wrong, this dude kind of looks scary. But we played through it, and one of the other things that I do like about the app, they also give you your very own theme-based background music.
That's cool.
Beautiful.
See, I thought this was going to be a fun house.
So did I, too. It
looks like a clown.
Well, yeah, so did both of us, too, because we thought, okay, this is a clown. She hates clowns. She doesn't really like scary stuff. Oh, okay, let's go ahead and buy this Unlock game. So, yeah, it's definitely awesome. And each theme has their own play style. A lot of the games have the same types of, I don't want to say the same exact puzzles, but if you've played one Unlock game, there will be times where, okay, I kind of figure, okay, we need to do this here. I've seen it before. But I didn't bring that version. There's another version where it's an action Unlock game where you're locked on you're not locked, but you're along in this, it's a Western version where it's called, I want to say it's called the Tombstone train robbery. You're not locked anywhere. You just have to figure out who the train robber is. And in the middle of you playing, you have to stop what you're doing because raiders board the train and you have to deal with those before you can figure out any other puzzles. And it's like, wait a minute, this is an escape room. Now we got to stop what we're doing just to figure these people out. And it's just breaking up the monotonous of the game on each different one. It's fantastic, you know. So I would have to say this is my number 2.
Okay, have you done Time Stories?
We just picked that up.
Okay.
We just picked it up.
So at some point, compare Time Stories to this.
Okay.
I played Time Stories.
I will say one of the other things that I do like about this is that there's no, with it being a one-shot, like I said before, it's a one-shot, but you don't damage the game. It's not a one-shot because you damage the game. And the reason I say damage the game is because there's another Unlocked series called Exit.
That's what I was looking up.
Okay. Exit it's another brand of escape room built into a board game, card game, whatever, what have you. But the issue is that when you figure out certain puzzles, they want you to destroy certain things. Like, I remember we have the mummy's tomb, and I can't remember what we were figuring out, but it said, okay, now you have to rip this page in half and then put these two together. And it's like, I'm not gonna do that. I'm not gonna do that. So the fact you don't have to damage this to play it, I can't stand damaging any game. And we were just talking about legacy games. It hurts. It hurts when you have to rip up a card because the game tells you to.
Roughly, what's the price on one unlock?
I want to say they're fairly cheap. I want to say maybe 15, maybe 20.
Okay.
I want to say they're rounded about maybe $15.
The exit games are about 20.
Okay, so it's probably around the same amount.
So I've done an exit game with my wife, and same thing. We had to end up cutting the inserts. Like the insert was the map.
So okay,
so
going
for a puzzle.
Yeah, see that
So,
it hurts my heart when I have to do that. I will say, if anybody's interested in this particular one, the final puzzle, I was completely blown away. I would have never thought about the solving it until at the very last minute we had an aha moment, and I'm thinking to myself, you mean to tell me we had to go there to do that? The final puzzle in the Squeak and Sausage one, never would have thought about it in a million years, and until it's like, wait a minute. The final puzzle, we had to take one hint. Become like, I'm not seeing it. I'm not seeing it.
So I'll have to probably try that with my wife. The exit game we tried was like, it was just two of us, and the way we think, we don't quite think enough apparently with the escape room way, and that was an interesting experience.
Okay.
So maybe we'll try the unlocks. But yeah,
I'll leave it here for you so you can check it out.
Yeah.
And like I said, we just picked up Time Stories, and she was really excited about checking that out.
We'll talk about Time Stories after this, because up there's 4.
Oh, okay.
So we can. Which one did you just got the base game?
We just got the base game.
Oh, so I got a couple you can try.
Okay.
So I'll help you out. You let me borrow the Oz one, and then So yeah, maybe more reports on that later.
Yeah.
So okay, my number two is another book. If you watch my channel, you know I do bolt action.
Oh, he does bolt action.
So bolt action is done by Warlord Games. It's a World War II level platoon, so it can get to a typical Warhammer-ish size. So an average game is about 2.5 hours, depending on how you play. You can go to a super mega game. You can go down to a super tiny little game for 45 minutes if you want. You can scale this however you want. More than 2 players, whatever, you can make this whatever you want. It's a miniatures game. But the rules are really good, solid. My review's coming out shortly on this. And so it'll be up on the channel at some point. But yes, this is one of my main games right now. I collect hobby with, so this is going to be on my list. So I don't care if you're a super historical. If you are, then just bear with me that I'm not. If you want to be a tournament level player, that's fine. I'll meet you there. I can play with almost anyone on this because, I really enjoy it. If you want a sneak peek, there is no set initiative order. That is probably the number one thing that either you love it or you hate this game, because there's no set initiative order. There's no you go, I go. It's all blind draw from a bag.
See, I kind of like that because
It's
in
awesome.
real war, you're not going to talk to your enemy like, okay, now it's your turn to go.
It's the fog of war.
Yeah.
And there's no official rules for it, but there's ways of removing dice out of the bag or putting something in the bag, like Test of Honors one, where if you pull
A little bit more randomness.
Well, right. So you put, like, if you have blue, I have red, we put green in. After the third green one comes out, the turn's over. Whatever's left in the bag stays in the bag.
Okay.
So you don't know, will I be able to activate everyone? There's also ways where I can bring 15 units, but we agreed that only 12 go in the bag. So I'm going to have 3 units that don't do anything. So you have to make those
And those
choices.
3 units that don't do anything could change every turn.
Yes. The only other one that's closest to this that's probably got some more known to it is Star Wars Legion.
I was just about to bring that when you said it goes into a bag. That's another one where you have to blindly reach into a bag and pick out whichever unit.
Your list building can mitigate it. Your commander can mitigate it by what you don't put into the blind stack.
That's true.
Because if all the same units are in the blind stack, then
There's no
mystery.
there's no randomness to it. Yeah.
Or so you can mitigate. This year's no mitigation.
Gotcha.
The only mitigating aspect is like you have a lieutenant. If he's next to someone, he can activate someone else.
Okay.
So
which would make sense because commanders can kind of do stuff like that.
Yes, like hey,
in a bunch of different
action.
games. Yeah.
Yeah. So, but this is I have easy, like probably pushing 3,000 points for Americans and Germans.
So, just a quick question. With this and your previous, the Osprey game, is there a set type of miniature you can use, or you can just kind of grab whatever you want and then make it?
This one, Warlord does produce miniatures.
Okay.
However, there's 6, 12, 50 different companies that make other World War II miniatures. So there's even 3D printers. So like, let's say I want to play Finland. I'll play with either Russian and German bodies, and there's a special head that you put on there for their heads.
Okay.
Romanians, Bulgarians, like you can get all their unique heads.
Okay.
There's even rules to play partisans.
Okay.
So you can just get a whole bunch of civilians with rifles and pistols and shotguns running around as your army force. So
kind of like townsfolk with the pitchforks.
Yes, there's some variety of what you want to do with it. So yes, and the cost. See again, one of my big things is the cost of entry is very small. For like $200, you have probably enough to play with switching stuff out.
See, I like that. I would say that's one thing that
We're not talking about certain companies.
Got away with certain miniatures games.
Yeah.
Where it's like you have like, okay, I have like $600 worth of stuff in here, and this is just bare minimum to play a game.
Here's your start collecting army.
No, thank you.
Here's your start collecting army. $100. Can I play a game? No.
Yeah.
Don't forget your commander. Don't forget that. Don't forget that. Don't forget that. Don't forget that. Oh, and by the way, here's your new errata. All that stuff doesn't matter anymore. Bolt Action does FAQ every like quarterly.
Okay.
And they'll fine-tune some things. Like the biggest in 2 years, they haven't really shaked anything up until the last one.
Okay.
They changed the effect of a rule in the game. But they've adjusted it so, like, the Americans, for example, got no veteran units unless you picked it out from other rule books.
Okay.
Because they don't do, like, there's an American Army book. Once you got that, you got that. But then there's campaign books. Okay. So if you want to play Battle of the Bulge, these were the unique things about Battle of the Bulge. You got them for Battle of the Bulge scenarios. Not necessarily for the main game. Okay. So if we're just playing, we're not playing with all those. But, like, paratroopers were regular. Okay. But like, no, some of those paratroopers were like hardcore. So they went back and in the FAQ said, hey, Americans now can take veteran units.
Okay.
Here's a generic unit entry. So they do stuff like that. But anyway, that's my number 2.
And number 1.
Number 1. Here we go.
Number one would have to be Dead of Winter.
Any version.
Any version. This particular one is The Long Night. I originally got into Dead of Winter as the very first, it was just considered a Crossroads game. It was just called Dead of Winter. I absolutely love this game. I love all versions of the game. And we just picked up the Warring Colonies expansion.
Mind you, he picked it up during COVID. So how are you having a party of 12?
I'm not until all this is done.
Great timing.
However,
was it a great deal at least?
It was a great deal. That is one of the reasons why we picked it up.
Quick, game companies, more than 8 people, sell that at the deal.
Yeah, there you go.
Let us stock up.
I will say, like, I love zombies. I love action games, action movies. Anything that's got zombies in it, I'm all for watching, playing, doing whatever. This essentially is you surviving the dead of winter in wintertime during the zombie apocalypse. You have a colony, and each player has their own small gathering of survivors. It's mostly, a co-op game, doing things, dealing with the winter conditions, dealing with surviving, either going to different areas of outside the colony to gain fuel, food, medicine, people get sick. This game, there are a lot of ways to die. Only one way, based on the mission you play, to win. Kind of sounds like Pandemic, doesn't it?
No, I think this is more brutal.
This is more brutal because of the simple fact this is a co-op mostly because there's a chance that there's a betrayer that just wants to kill everybody. It's not guaranteed that he'll be in the game. It's as you play, the setup of the game is you draw secret objectives. You have to, unless you're playing with a bunch of brand new people, sometimes I've done it.
Yeah.
Don't include the betrayer card.
But can't the colony win and you lose still because your mission that's secret?
So I was just about to get into that. So there's each game you play, there's an overall mission to survive, whether it's, okay, we're trying to find a vaccine. One of the particular ones that we just recently played was you have to find a vaccine for the zombie apocalypse. When at any time you kill a zombie, you get to roll a die. If you roll high enough, you get a zombie sample. When you gain enough zombie samples, your medic or whoever that's not even technically in the game, some kind of science person finds a cure, you win the game. On top of that, each individual player has kind of their own victory conditions, whether it's, okay, you find enough food to feed everybody, whether you have enough weapons to survive any kind of encounter. Each person has their own secret objective, but overall it's just surviving whatever the main objective is, whether it's gaining enough food for the rest of winter, whether it's finding the cure for the zombie apocalypse, whether it's dealing with raiders that constantly want to attack your colony every turn. There's very much variety to this game, and they do give you plenty of main objectives to where it has a whole bunch of replayability. There's also a chance that there's a betrayer, so there's a little bit of deduction in there based on what all of the other people in your game do. You have to kind of watch what they're doing, because when you're contributing to food for the people, they could do stuff to kind of screw you into that. They can attract more zombies than you can handle at any location, essentially killing off people. Exposure, when one of your players gets bit, the betrayer could okay, I got bit, okay, I'm dying, I'm just going to go ahead and kill you because the infection might go to the next person too. And it's like, based on what they do, it's kind of like you have to predict, okay, is any of the people at this table a betrayer, or are we just all getting very paranoid? And I kind of like that, the co-op with a betrayer. There's a couple different games that are kind of like that. You can actually, one of the good things about this game is you can play without a betrayer. To do that, they have a particular setup where you just increase the difficulty of the main objective, which is really good. I like the artwork here. The artwork on the board is really good. On the cards, it's I would say this is for, the box says that this is good for 14 and up. I would say just because this, if you get into it, it can portray a very violent game. So yeah, I would have to say 14 and up is a really good standard. It says you can play 2 to 5 players. I don't think I've ever done 5 players. Like I said, we usually round it down to maybe 4, and 4 is a really good point for this particular game. It gives you enough randomness to kind of wonder whether the people you're playing with are betrayers or, whatever. I would say the runtime, the box says the runtime on this is 60 to 120 minutes, 1 to 2 hours. That, I would say that's about right. Usually, even when I'm teaching this game to brand new players, within one entire round, everybody, even if they're brand new to this game, kind of understands what's going on. There's a couple different things you can do. The big basic things about this game is go out to different locations outside the colony, gain stuff that you need to survive. Food, gas to keep the generators running, medicine for when people get sick, weapons to defend yourself for the encounters of raiders that you may, or zombies that you may encounter. And it's anytime we play this game, it's another one where we have an overall good time with it. It's a little bit heavier, it's a little bit thicker as far as strategy. And if you're just in it for a quick game, I would say this one is not for you. The hour to 2 hours, leaning more towards maybe an hour and a half to 2 hours, is about the good runtime for this game. But yeah, this is just another one that I would just play anytime that it's available. Me and my wife, actually, little story to kind of not throw this whole thing off the rails. We love this game so much that last year for our 1-year anniversary of us getting married. Thanks, by the way. We went to Canada before all of this madness ensued to a prototype game con. One of the developers for this game, Jonathan Gilmore, was there. Specifically, he was very down to earth. Loved talking to him. He was very down to earth. Well, she completely geeked out as soon as she found out he was going to be there. We specifically took our copy there just so he can sign it. And he wrote down when he wrote down his little thing on the inside cover. He said, really glad you guys enjoyed this game. Thanks for coming up. By the way, Chrissy's the betrayer. I thought that was amazing because I thought to myself, okay, she's really happy about this. So, we love this game. Love this game. It's an overall, like I said, it gets a little bit graphic if you have little kids, but just in the artwork, So you played it a couple times. Okay.
Do you play it 2 players or not?
So I think we played it maybe one time with 2 players. Now, when you do play with 2 players, they specifically say if you're playing with 2 players, obviously you're not going to know whether somebody's a betrayer because with only 2 people, there's only a limited amount of stuff you could do to survive. For a 2-player game, they specifically say in the rules, there's no betrayer. You just have to go with the main objective for a more difficult main objective. So, and me and Chrissy did that. It wasn't too long ago. I want to say maybe last month. We were just kind of doing nothing, and I was like, all right, let's play Dead of Winter. Okay. So yeah, but that was the only time we've ever played with 2 people. 3 people is still good, but this is another game where an overall rounded 4 players is kind of like the sweet spot. You know what I mean?
So since you played a lot, do you have an insert to make setup easier?
So I do have the broken token insert. Because it helps organize everything inside the box. And I recently bought some of the the promo characters.
Oh, yeah.
Including Felicia Day.
Okay.
Because I've watched a bunch of stuff that she does, and Plaid Hat Games. I just told you about this. I got Rodney Smith. And the thing that I loved about that is he's a Mountie. Mm-hmm. I'm thinking to myself, yeah, he would be a Mountie. So, yeah, we absolutely love this game. As I said before, I have no problem with buying upgrades to a game that I know I'm going to play and that I love. It's just, I have to say this had to be my number 1. It was either this or another game that I didn't bring, which was also Lords of Waterdeep. But that wasn't
in the top 5, then.
So the reason I only included this and not that is because I wanted my top 5 to be a little something for everybody. This is my one long game. You go to game nights. Everybody wants to do shorter games. Not everybody wants to do a long game. I wanted to include at least one long game into this list. I know you said. Long. I know you.
Waterdeep's not long.
Well,
Waterdeep's not even long. I mean, you can get through that an hour on average.
Yeah, but I mean,
and 2 hours is your long game. Come on.
No. I would say for some people this is a long game. You want to talk about my long game? Talk about the original Civilization before Sid Meier's came out with his own version. An entire weekend, and we didn't even finish that game. So, but yeah, this is my number 1.
One last question.
Yeah.
So you barely mentioned the Crossroads cards.
Oh, so I completely forgot about that.
So I'm wondering if you even like the Crossroads cards, first of all.
So, yeah.
Wait, here's my question.
Okay.
Cards or app?
The app until it stopped working on me. I have to re-download it.
Okay. So you prefer the app over the cards?
I prefer the app for the ambiance music. It does drain your battery on your phone, though. I would say I like the cards more. I specifically only like the app for the sound. If you have the app running for the Crossroad cards, because they did develop an app just for the Crossroad cards, and I'll get into what the Crossroad cards are in a minute. They came out with an app where it's all the Crossroad cards on the entire game. It just, you click the button, it randomly draws one up for each person's turn. The Crossroad cards are things that happen on each individual person's turn. It's a random encounter that could or could not happen based on what each person does on the round.
Or who's in the game.
Or who is currently playing as a survivor in the game. And then that also goes into crisis cards. each round there's a crisis, as I said, of surviving. Either for this particular round, everybody's sick. For this particular round, we ran out of gas in the generators. You have to contribute gas. So that's why I said there's a lot of stuff that can go wrong with this game, and really only one or two ways to win. You have the main objective, which is the whole game. You have the secret objective, which is your own personal thing, which could include a betrayer. You have the crisis cards that you deal with every round, so whoever the round starts in, by the time everybody finishes that entire round, you have to have that crisis averted. Otherwise, your morale goes down, people die, more people get sick, people get infected. And then you have the crossroad cards, which could be a good or bad encounter. And I say good or bad because the randomness could be, okay, you went to the grocery store. Well, if you have this survivor and you're at the grocery store, this guy just happens to be a manager of a grocery store. Not necessarily that one, but because you took him to the grocery store and you got that crossroads card, you got like 5 times the amount of food that you needed for that round just because you had him. Or it could be bad. You decided that you were going to go to the gas station, which is another location. In this particular round, if there's a person at a colony that decides that they're going to leave the colony to go to another location, the minute they decide to travel, this happens. Oh, something happened. There's a horde. That location is, for some reason, is overrun. Now you have to make you have to defend them off. Make a what is it called?
It's been a while, I don't remember.
A survival check to see if you get infected. You have to roll it 3 times in a row. Oh, what's going to happen 3 times in a row if you could get bit? You're probably going to get bit, so it could be good or bad. But yeah, as far as I would have to say the cards more than the app, just because it drains the battery on your phone. But with them having the ease of just pressing a button and a random one comes up, doing the cards, there is a chance, because there is a chance that you could forget. There have been times where we've been playing the game. It's, oh, what's your turn now? Oh, you forgot to read me you know what I mean? But yeah, there's just so much going on with this game. That's why I said this is a long game for people that don't necessarily game all the time. But yeah, I know this section is long and drawn out, but that's a lot of the reasons why this is my number 1.
Okay.
So
that's fair enough.
Yeah.
Name dropper.
Name dropper.
Okay.
Sorry.
My number 1 has no box here, so there's going to be a picture after I say the name. Twilight Imperium 4. Picture. Okay. Twilight Imperium 4. I love space. I love Civilization. I played Sid Meier's Alpha Centauri. I've done Civilizations. And I have been offered, or I was told at least 4 different times by several different people that, hey, we're going to get a day together so we can play Twilight Imperium. Can I join? Yeah, we'll let you know as soon as the day happens. And then silence. Nothing happens. No one plays it. And it's like, what happened? Oh, it's just no. No, I don't know. I wasn't there. You didn't tell me what happened. So I have not been able to get into a game of it. I have want to play it. I know it's a beast of a game. I know it's a beast of complexity. And I want every single bit of it. And I want to be able to play it twice so I can know what I'm doing the second time I play it, because I know I'm going to mess up the first time. So, Twilight Imperium 4, that is my number 1. It'll stay on that list, probably in the number 1 spot until I get to play it twice. Until then, I mean, if you don't know anything about it, it's just a massive space game. You run a civilization. You do everything. Research, weapons, technology, politics, because you're all fighting on who's in charge, and edicts and trade and just everything in one game.
So you say there's everything in that game, like you can also go to war with other people, or no?
You fight each other. If you don't want to fight and be a turtle, just be a turtle and just build your defensive line and say, come get me.
I've done that in Risk before.
You can do it in lots of games, but it's just everything's in there because there's negotiations, there's discussions, there's rolling, dice, combat, randomness. Just, it's a 4X game to the wazoo. Every time I think of a 4X game, I'm going to think of that. And I have Star Trek Ascendancy upstairs. I have not played that. We got the Borg expansion. I'm hoping that fills that niche a little bit, but I still want to play TI4.
Now, about how long does that game you think might run?
Depends on who's playing.
Oh, okay.
I have been told anywhere from a 4-hour game with people that know what they're doing and people getting really aggressive to here's our weekend.
Ah, okay.
16, 20 hours. So it's like the variability is there and you don't know what you're going to have. Just clear off the schedule and be prepared that, oh, remember that thing you did in turn 2? Well, that's why you lost the game and can't win, but it's going to take 15 more turns before you die.
Yeah, yeah.
And you know what? We don't want to just kick you out of the game so you sit there as a player, because it has player elimination.
Yeah.
But, we'll feel bad for you. Just, you can have that little planet and we know you can't hurt us.
You can
have fun there.
You can just keep doing what you're doing. It's not going to matter, but let's just go ahead and keep, at least you're not sitting there playing. At least you're not sitting there doing nothing.
So, but yeah, I just want to have the experience. I want to be able to play it. I don't own it. I need someone to have it. And so, yeah, I just want to be able to sit back and say, I've played it. I've enjoyed it. I might even buy it. I've had people like Eclipse. I've heard about Eclipse. I haven't played Eclipse. Eclipse has a lot of things similar with Twilight Imperium, but Twilight Imperium has everything, especially with the new edition, because they had third with 2 expansions, and they really picked some things out, moved things around, incorporate into the TI4, and I just want to play Twilight Imperium 4 and just be able to say, I've played it, I've got it, and I know if I want to own it and arrange my own game day, because at this point I feel like I got to find 4 people that never played the game. Hey, do you want to play it? I got it, and I'll set up my own game day.
And that's a all-in-one box game, right?
Yep. Now
like everything you need is okay.
Now
I know for a while it was one of those expansion things, and
3 had 2 expansions, and they incorporated some bits from the expansion into the 4th edition.
Okay.
So that's this. What's your top 5 games? What games are you not going to say no to? What do you really want to play? Is it a Grail game? Is it games that you can play with anyone at any time? What would you be your criteria? Put it in the comments below.
I would have to say there are so many games that I didn't put on this list that like I could just rattle off like all day.
Anyway, so this is going to be a bonus little segment there.
Yeah,
so thanks for sticking around. If you made it this far, awesome. Subscribe, like, comment away. Let us hear what your thoughts would be. Find us on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and we'll have more content as it goes. This is July 2020 and this is done, so who knows where you'll be when you see this.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
So this is Matt and
Mike or Bishop from the Groove.
Signing off. Thanks for watching.